Hello and welcome to the movement series. Today's routine, we're going to increase the reps on a couple of the postures, so it's going to be quite challenging on the legs. So listen to the body, go at your own pace, and don't forget to breathe. Let's get straight into it. So coming up to the front of the mat, as we usually do, we're going to start off with our sun salutation routine to warm up the body, so reaching up to the ceiling. Create space through that back. Take a nice deep breath in. And then folding forward, nice and gently. First one of the day, tuck the chin in to the chest. You can have your knees slightly bent and just allow that back to stretch out. Take a couple of breaths here. Coming up onto the fingertips. If we can't quite reach the mat, let's place the hands onto the front of the shins and just tuck the chin in a little bit. Create a nice flat back. Push the knees back a little bit. And just allow the body to warm up. Okay, and then from here, we're going to place the hands down on the mat, and we're going to come into our press up plank. So there's a couple of modifications here. We're going to be on our forearms. We can have the knees down on the mat, or we can be in the full press up plank. So choose the suitable modification for yourself. But whatever we do in good form. Keep the hips nice and level. If we're in the full press up plank, make sure we're not dropping down into the shoulders. We're keeping the elbows strong. The hands are directly under the shoulders. We're going to hold it here. Okay, and then from here we can either drop down to the knees and come down slowly into a press up, or in the full press up. And we're coming down, elbows by the side, just hovering above the mat or laying on the mat. And then from here, we're going to come up into our first upward dog. So here we can be on our forearms. It might just be that the first one you want to just slowly ease into it. Or if you're happy to do so, coming up onto the hands. Opening up the shoulders. And taking some deep breaths into the belly. And then from here, we're going to come up onto the toes. And we're going to transition back into our downward dog. So hands should be about shoulder width apart, feet shoulder width apart. Let's sink down into the shoulders. Let's keep the back flat. The heels can be off the mat. If you've got the flexibility to drop the heels down to the mat, then do so, but just keep that back flat. We're pushing away with our hands. We're driving the hips up towards the ceiling. And we're breathing. Allowing those shoulders to warm up. You can drop to the knees at any point. And then from here, we're going to walk the feet up, come up into standing. Okay, second set. Reaching up to the ceiling, create space through the back. And then folding forward nice and gently. Tuck the chin into the chest. Allow that back to stretch out.
Now here I want you just to push the knees back a little bit, get a bit of tension in the back of the legs, get them working. And from here coming up onto the fingertips. Hands can be on the shins. Let's sit back into those hips. Couple of nice deep breaths here. And then hands down onto the mat and coming back into our press up plank. So again, make the most suitable modification for you, whether that's on the forearms or the knees down or somewhere in between. We can even come up into this press up plank, hold it, drop to the knees and come back in. But if your breath becomes choppy and the hips start dropping, then that's your cue just to drop down, take a breather and rejoin us. Okay, and then from here we can either drop to the knees and come down slowly, or come down in the full press up plank, elbows by the side, coming down to the mat, just above the mat, or laying on the mat. And then from here, coming up into our upward dog, and again drop into the forearms if the bend is just a little bit too much on the back. Our backs are very rarely in this extension, so just start off nice and slowly, open up the shoulders, breathing into the belly. Coming up onto the toes and shifting back into our downward dog. So the body's feeling a bit warmer now. Might be able to sink the heels down a bit more. We all have different flexibilities, different strength. So just work with your body in all of these postures. There's no pressure. It's better to slightly dial it back than to overdo it. If you practice consistently, you will get stronger, you will get more mobile. So let's keep that breath nice and slow, breathing into the belly. And then when we're ready, walking the feet up in between hands and coming up into standing.
Okay, third and final set. Reaching up to the ceiling. Take a nice deep breath. And then folding forward.
Hands down to the mat, tuck the chin into the chest. And let's push those knees back. Okay, so we don't want the legs completely locked out and straight. There should be a slight bend in the knees. And then when we're ready, coming up onto the fingertips, or hands onto the shins, keeping that back flat, tucking the chin in a little bit. Sit back into those hips, push the knees backwards. We might have lots of flexibility in the back of the legs, so you might just have to lean forward a little bit more to find that tension, and then push those knees back. And then from here, placing the hands on the mat and stepping back into our plank. So again, coming down onto the forearms or down to the knees, or in the full press up plank. Breathing into the belly, staying calm. And then from here, we drop to the knees and come down. We'll come down in a full press up plank, elbows by the side to just above the mat or laying on the mat. Then from here, coming up into your upward dog. Again, drop into the forearms if it's just too much on the back. Okay, listen to the body. And then from here, coming up onto the toes and dropping back into our downward dog. So the shoulders will be feeling nice and warm here. It's a fantastic posture, this one, for building strength and stability around the shoulder. Our arms are very rarely overhead and taking force, so we end up losing that strength, losing that range of motion, that control. So make sure we're pushing away with our hands. We're working the whole body. We're dropping down into that upper back, another area of tension on a lot of people. Breathing into the belly. And from here, we're going to walk the feet up in between the hands and coming up into stand.
Okay, so we're going to start off in our lunge posture. So stepping back, we're going to start with our right foot forward, left foot extended out behind us. Okay, we can change the degree a little bit in this knee if it's too much to sink in. Okay, so let's get into good position, draw that pelvis in. Let's close the gap here, activating our abdomen. And then from here, if you want to take it a step further, we're going to reach up overhead. And just balance there, stay there if this is challenging. No need to go any further. If you want to take it one step further again, we're placing the left hand down on the inside of that right foot. And we're reaching up and opening up to the side. So there should be only a little bit of pressure going through that left hand. Okay, we're not dumping all our weight through there. Should be working that front leg, extending that back leg behind us. Okay, if the hand up is just too much, we can have it on the hip. So a lot of these postures are quite awkward. So really challenging our balance. Stay strong throughout the body. Okay, and then from here, we're going to rejoin the first modification, coming up in control, reaching up, and then stepping forward to the front of your mat. Okay, we're going to step back. So right leg behind us now. Let's get into good position, extend that leg, sink down into that left knee, draw the pelvis in. You'll feel a bit of tension through the front of the leg when you do that. If you want to take it a step further, we're going to reach the arms up. We're going to hold it here. If this is challenging enough, will you stay here? There's no need to go any further. Just work on this pattern. If you do want to take it a step further, we're going to place the right hand down on the inside of that left leg, and we're going to rotate to our left, reaching the arm up, extending that back leg. Let's hold it here. Hand can be down on the hip or up in the air. But let's stay calm, controlled, dropping to the knees at any point, rejoining us. And then we're going to rejoin the first modification in control, reaching up. And then stepping to the front of the mat. Okay, good. Those legs are shake out. We're going to do a second set of that. So stepping back with our left foot. Okay, get into good position. Draw the pelvis in. You'll feel that tension build in the front of that left leg. When you do that, stay nice and strong through the abdomen. If you want to take it a step further, we're reaching the arms up into the air. And if this is challenging enough for you, stay here. No need to go any further. If you do want to take it one step further, you're going to reach the left hand down for our third modification. And we're reaching the right arm up and opening up the body to the right. So we're working a few different patterns here. Left leg's in extension, right leg in flexion. We're rotating our upper body. We're trying to balance and we're trying to breathe. So quite a lot going on here. Just make sure we're not overreaching with that right arm. And then when we're ready, we're going to rejoin the first modification in control. It's the hardest bit. And then stepping up to the front of the mat. Okay, take a breather, give the legs a shake out. And when we're ready, reaching that right leg behind us. Okay, up onto the toes, sinking into that left knee, drawing that pelvis in, staying nice and strong through the stomach. If you want to take it a step further, reaching the arms up overhead. And if you want to take it one step further, we're going to bring that right hand down on the inside of that left leg. And we're going to rotate to our left hand side. So by the second set, we're starting to get some fatigue building in the muscles. If you feel your form is dropping a little bit, just drop to the knees, rejoin us, press pause. Okay, and then from here, we're going to rejoin our first modification in control, reaching up, and then stepping up to the front of the mat. Okay, take a breather here. We've got one more set of this. Okay, and when we're ready, we're going to step back with our left foot. Okay, get into good position, make sure there's pretty even weight between our front and our back leg. Okay, then draw the pelvis in, so we're nice and strong through that abdomen. If you want to take it a step further, reaching up. If this is challenging enough for you, stay here. If you want to take it one step further, we're reaching that left hand down and we're bringing our right arm up. So there should be an element of control in all of these movements. If you feel out of control and something doesn't quite feel right, just come out, give the legs a shake out.
A couple more breaths here. And then rejoining the first modification, coming up, arms up, draw that pelvis in. And then coming up. Good work. Okay, and then when we're ready, stepping that leg back. Drawing that pelvis in. Stand nice and strong through that stomach. If you want to take it a step further, we're reaching the arms up overhead. If this is challenging enough for you, stay here. If you want to take it one step further, we're reaching that right arm down on the inside of that left leg. And we're reaching up. Breathing in control. Okay, we're going to hold this a couple more breaths. And when we're ready, we're going to rejoin the first modification, reaching up, last one. And then stepping up to the front of the mat. Good work. Okay, we're going to get into our triangle pose just to give the legs a little bit of a stretch out. So right foot at 45-degree angle, left foot pointing forward. So make sure this knee is nice and straight. And when we're ready, we're going to slide that left hand down on the inside of the leg. So it doesn't matter where you reach to, just make sure that if we are coming down, this knee is nice and straight. And when we're ready, reaching up and opening up the body. So this is a really good workout for the back of the leg. It's a great one for highlighting left and right imbalances. So let's get the breath under control. That previous posture was definitely challenging. Okay, and then when we're ready, we're reaching that right hand down to meet the left. And we're just going to aim that forehead towards that knee. So the hands can be a little bit higher up on the shin or even on the knee. Make sure we're not pushing with those hands. We don't want to hyperextend that knee. So just gentle pressure with the hands. Holding yourself up with leg strength. So it feels like a stretch, this one. We're having to balance and coordinate and use our body, strengthen our body to hold us here. So again, it ticks all the boxes. Okay, and if you want to take it a step further, we're reaching that right arm over the top of that left foot, and we're reaching up into our reverse triangle. People tend to feel this more on the outside of the hamstring, heading up into the glute, into the hip. Okay, the hand can be on the hip if need be. Coming down, rejoining that hand Let's just sink into that front leg. And then coming up nice and smoothly. Okay, let's pivot that left foot in, pivot the right foot out. Okay, and when we're ready, nice straight leg. We're going to slide down our right hand on the inside of that right leg, just to the point where you feel that tension building. Then we're going to reach the arm up. So just recheck your feet, make sure that back leg, that back foot is at 45-degree angle, front foot's pointing forward. Make sure the knee is nice and straight. Make sure we're not holding our breath. And then from here, we're going to reach down, meet our right hand. Let's sink our forehead into the knee. Okay, again, our hands can be up a little bit higher if we can't quite reach our foot. Just make sure there's no pressure in those hands, we're not pushing that knee backwards. Then from here, if you want to take it a step further, reaching that left hand over the top of the right foot and reaching up with the right arm. Okay, so stay here. A few more breaths. And then we're going to bring that hand back down to meet the other hand, the left hand. Just one final last drop into that front leg. And then coming up into standing. Good work. Okay, we're going to get into our warrior poses now. So back foot at 90 degrees, line the heels up, front foot. I'm going to sink into that front leg, keep the body nice and vertical. I'm going to bring the arms up to shoulder level. We're staying here. If this is challenging for you, just stay here. If you want to take it a step further, we're dropping that forearm down onto the knee and reaching up. Making sure there's no pressure or very little pressure through that elbow. And if you want to take it one step further again, placing the fingertips onto the mat, reaching up, opening up the chest, and let's hold it here. Just want a good amount of pressure through both of our feet. We don't want all the weight in that front foot. So reconnect that back foot into the ground. Hand can be on the hip if it's too much on the shoulder. Okay, and then from here, we're going to rejoin the first modification coming up. And then straighten in that front leg, pivot in and pivot out. So again, line the heels up, back foot at 90 degrees. Just adjust the stance accordingly. Okay, we might need to take a little bit of the degree of bend out of that front leg just to suit you. And then coming up, making sure the body's nice and vertical,
Arms are shoulder level. Stay here if this is challenging. If you want to take it one step further, gently place the elbow onto the knee and reaching up. If you want to take it one step further again, gently placing the fingertips onto the mat, reaching up to the ceiling. I always find looking down at the mat is best on my neck. So just find that comfortable spot and let's hang out here. Okay, and then from here we're going to rejoin the first modification in control. Reaching up, holding, and then straightening that front leg. Pivot in and pivot out. So we're going to do a second set of that. So again, line the heels up, sink into that left hip, nice and vertical body. Reaching the arms up to shoulder level. And then from here, I'm going to place the left elbow down onto the knee gently. If you want to take it a step further, reaching up. And if you want to take it to one step further again, for our third modification, reaching down, gently placing the fingertips onto the mat, opening up the hips, opening up the chest, and staying in control. So it's about finding that edge where you're being challenged, but you're in control, you're keeping the breath fluid. You're building on the strength you've worked on. Okay, a couple more breaths here. I'm going to come up and rejoin the first modification in control. Then we're going to straighten that front leg. We're going to pivot in and pivot out. So line the heels up. Let's sink down into that right hip. Okay, keep the body nice and vertical. Reaching up with the arms and staying here if this is challenging enough for you. If you want to take it one step further, we're going to drop the elbow down for the second modification, gently placing on the knee and reaching up, making sure we're using the legs to hold us in position. And if you want to take it one step further again, gently placing the fingertips on the mat and reaching up and holding. Drop into the knees at any point, rejoining us. Okay, a couple more breaths here. And then we're coming up, rejoining the first modification. And then straightening that leg. Okay, one more set. So good opportunity just to get your breath back. Okay, this is pretty challenging. So line the heels up. And we're going to sink down into that left leg. Keeping the body nice and vertical. Reaching the arms up to shoulder level. Staying here if this is challenging. If you want to take it a step further, just gently placing that elbow on the knee and reaching up. And if you you want to take it to the third modification, placing that left hand down on the inside of that left leg and reaching up. Keep that breath fluid, in control. From here, we're going to rejoin the first modification in control. And then straighten that leg. Pivot in and pivot out. Last one, guys. Okay, so line the heels up. Let's sink into that right leg. Keep the body nice and vertical. Arms shoulder level. Okay, if this is challenging enough for you, stay here. If you want to take it a step further, reaching that elbow down onto the knee and reaching up. And if you want to take it to the third modification, we're going to reach that hand down on the inside of that right leg. We're going to reach up and we're going to hold. By now the legs are definitely been worked. Keep that breath nice and fluid. Okay. Rejoin the first modification, so coming up in control, last move, and then coming up. Good work. Okay, bring the feet together. We're going to get down onto the mat now for our floor routine. So, laying flat on our back, knees bent, knees about fist width apart. Okay, we're going to start off with our abdominal work, so interlace the fingertips together, roll the chin into the chest, lift the upper back off the mat, keeping that lower back flat on the mat, and we're going to start our rotations, so going from left to right. So stay here if this is challenging enough for you. If the neck's getting a bit tired, we can gently hold it with our fingertips, but don't pull on the neck. Okay. If you want to take it a step further, we're going to start our leg extensions, so dropping that right leg out as we rotate to the left, and then coming up, coming over to the right, and extending the left leg out. Coming up, right leg out, coming to the left, coming up, coming to the right, left leg out. You don't have to be completely in sync with me, but make sure you're not going any faster. Okay, it's important that we work on control, not trying to do lots of reps. Trying to listen to the body, making sure that lower back is not coming away from the mat, making sure we're drawing that front of the pelvis in, staying strong through the stomach. Coming up, rotating. One last time. And then resting that take a breather here. We're just going to do a second set. So when we're ready, interlace the fingers together, tuck the chin in, roll up, draw the shoulders back, and start our rotations. Okay, if this is challenging enough for you, stay here. If you want to take it a step further, extending that opposite leg out, so the right leg out as we rotate to the left, and then coming up, extend that left leg out as we rotate to the right. And keep going. So nice and smooth, extending that opposite leg out. We're working our rotational pattern here. All the muscles that lead to the side of the abdomen. So if we're in this second modification and you want to take it a step further, we're going to extend the leg out. We're going to hold it here for just a little bit of endurance work. So make sure we tuck that chin in. Make sure that lower back isn't coming away from the mat. We're lifting our upper chest up. And coming up over to left hand side, extend that right leg out and let's hold it here. So if you're in the first or the second modification, just continue at your own pace. And then coming up, we're going to do it one more time on each side. Rotating over to the right, tuck that chin in, draw that pelvis in. Couple more breaths here. And up. Extend that right leg out. Let's hold it here in control. And then coming up. Good work, guys. Okay, last posture of the day, the most important one. Okay, we've worked hard today. It was challenging on the legs. So we're going to open up the feet, we'll open up the hands. So we've opened up a window of opportunity during today's class. Now what we do now will dictate how well we recover. So let's slow the breath down. Let's get some good diaphragmatic breathing going where our belly rises up as we inhale. And it drops on our exhale. So we're moving away from this upper chest breathing. We're getting that diaphragm to drop down into the abdomen. It's a large muscle. That's very important with breathing. It's pretty essential. So just take a rough timing of your inhale, see where you're at, aiming for that 4 to 6, maybe 8 seconds in, right to the top of the inhale, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then matching the exhale with your inhale, 4 to 6, maybe 8 seconds out, dropping that stomach right down. So when we breathe like this, we get into our parasympathetic system.
rest and digest. It's good for our digestion. It's good for recovery. Helps with a whole host of things from sleep, anxiety, depression, sports performance, cognitive function. It's just a good opportunity for us just to switch our minds off and enjoy this moment. Again, matching that inhale to the exhale, breathing in 4 to 6 to 8 seconds in. And then breathing out. So if you've got 5 or 10 minutes here, bit of spare time after today's session, I'd thoroughly recommend you stay where you're at. If you do need to head off, then try and factor in a 5 or 10 minute session in the middle of the day where you focus just on your breathing. It will improve many aspects of your work, your performance. So thank you very much for joining me today. It was awesome having you on board. I hope you enjoyed today's session. And I look forward to seeing you on the mat tomorrow. Have a great day, have a great evening. Thank you very much.